Hello and welcome to episode 130 of the Book Wars Pod. I am Chris. I'm here with Miranda, Kristen, and once again our special guest co-host for this book, Adriana at Celestial Intent, who is the host of the Starships podcast on the Clashing Sabers podcast network. Welcome everyone.
Yay.
Hi, hello.
It's not over yet.
Much to our listeners' chagrin. It is not over yet.
That feels like a threat here.
I know, right? We today are wrapping up A Crash of Fate by Zoraida Córdova. I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'm very tired. I remember what I was going to say. A note for anybody listening, if we release this on time this week, theoretically, you should still be able to go to the @StarWars Twitter account, and they tweeted that you can get the ebook of A Crash of Fate for free this week.
Ooh.
For Star Wars Reads Month. Ooh. So, if you're listening and haven't read it, for some reason, you should go do that. It's very good.
It would be.
I'm going to be honest. I would listen to your guys' I would listen to your guys' podcast and not read some of the books just because I was interested in what they were about and if I wanted to read them, so.
That's fair.
Why?
Because you guys make me laugh.
I was going to say, the concept of reading to a podcast, the concept of listening to a podcast about books before you've read the book makes total sense. The concept of listening to us at all is where I really start to question your judgment.
This podcast is like a cool 65% shit posting.
Yep.
Yeah. Depending on how depressed we are on any given day.
Hey-o.
Today, that's like 110% out of 100. At least.
Is anybody else just like feverishly refreshing Twitter to see if Trump's dead yet?
Yep.
Yes.
Also, it's like my favorite part of hockey season, which is the draft is tomorrow and like free agency is about to start. So I have two things keeping me on Twitter all day.
Nice. Productive.
Yeah, very.
Well, it's just like general news. There's just other stuff that might be going on. Some stuff that we didn't even know. And then it became news. So 2020 just keeps on giving bags of shit that are on fire on our doorsteps.
Good.
It does. It do that.
I know this is probably going to be like super weird for you guys to hear, but Twitter is the reason that I found you guys, and it's specifically one of Kristen's tweets, and I believe it was about Vader Daddy or something like that.
No, that's not.
Tracks 100%.
That's a bite.
Our SEO is exactly correct. We are optimized for Vader Zaddy. Anyway, also that's not weird at all that you found us via Twitter. I don't know how people find us otherwise, because
that particular tweet, I think you had. I think it was a poll about.
Oh no.
Well, it was a poll about something, what we should call something, what you guys should call something, and I was just like, Vader Daddies, and I was like, what is this? And then I Googled you guys, and...
To be fair, that is probably the best way to discover this podcast,
honestly,
because that is like unfiltered.
Yeah, that's eyes wide open.
That is Book Wars Pod.
And I think too, I was searching Twitter for like Tron tweets. I don't know. It was a very fun time.
He's our actual favorite blue boy.
I mistakenly just did a search for Vader Daddies.
Don't do it. Oh my god, don't.
And
I searched for
I'd say that was your first mistake, but it wasn't.
No, well, guess what? It came right up.
Oh, good.
It says, can we do a poll who's better pilot, Ambien or Vader Daddy?
Oh.
And And then, hey pod people, what should we refer to you guys as? We have a tie between Hondo Frondos and Vader Daddies.
Oh, I voted for Hondo Frondos
That's
for
the
sure.
truth. That's the truth.
Yeah, also,
Fucking nerds won, but that is boring.
Yeah,
If
we
we
don't
ever-
accept that.
if you ever want to look us up based on something like
what?
Vader Daddy, make sure to include Book Wars Pod because
Yes.
I had to Google Darth Twink the other day to see what episode that's from.
Just add the Book Wars Pod in quotes there. You are gonna need those, or otherwise it's just porn. I promise.
So much porn.
I promise. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to regret this.
All right. Well, I need to open my drink. What is everyone drinking tonight?
Miranda has do you have something fun?
I was going to have a special blonde IPA called Belly Bomb, but alas,
I love it.
Depression, and I did not leave my house to go get it. But yes, it's a specialty brew from this. It is. I don't have it, but it's a specialty brew from this. It's from LA. They're like a brewery in LA, and they specialize. And like you can only get it in, like they only ship to California. And the Belly Bomb is the blonde IPA. Then they have a Mookie Wood, I think it's called, and then like a Justin Turner. So if you don't know who those people are, they're baseball players from the Dodgers.
And one of them is
love them.
Adriana's husband.
Yeah.
I wish, yes. But I thought that would be fitting, but alas, like I said, depression
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, she's a real
So
bitch
instead, I'm
sometimes.
drinking peach green tea.
Oh, yum.
I love it.
that for you.
Look at you. That's health.
Now this is pod racing.
What a time to be an LA sports fan. Can't even watch the Dodgers tomorrow because the Lakers finals game is on.
I know.
Yeah. That is.
It's
there's
so
a whole,
and it's so wild.
much.
The Astros and the A's are playing at Dodger Stadium right now. It's so wild. I'm like, what's happening?
And there's no one to throw things at the Astros at Dodger Stadium. What is happening? Someone call Joe Kelly. Ship him back.
Oh my god.
Please.
Lord.
What a time to be alive, man.
That's the way to put it.
Indeed. Miranda, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a beer.
Classic.
It is from our friends over at Ex Novo Brewing Company here in Portland. Drink beer, do good. It's on all their cans because they do good stuff. And they like have the... What's the outside called? Like the design? Like the label. The label
Mm-hmm.
is detachable from the can so you can recycle it better.
Mm-hmm.
But I am drinking the Cactus Wins the Lottery.
That's very cute.
It's a sour. It has these cacti driving in a convertible.
Oh my god, I love that. It's adorable.
Berliner Weiss
That's really
sour
cute.
ale with prickly pear. It's delicious. We
Before
love
I
it.
forget, hold your shit up, people. I should have done this before the podcast, which is when I usually do it. Sparkle. Oh, look at... Okay, wait. Hold on. Shit. Fuck. 1, 2, 3. Chris, you look so depressed.
Sorry. I'm just
You
tired.
didn't even try to smile. You were just like,
Listen, today was arm day and I had to hold up a can. This is a lot of
oh,
exertion.
that's fair. That's fair. I'm probably not going to edit any of that out just because it's funny and very R-pod. Cool. What are you drinking, Chris? Wait, Miranda, were you done? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's a beer.
Okay, cool.
It's
Sorry.
good.
I am drinking a cherry lime hard seltzer from Avery Brewing Company here in Portland. Wow, I'm not in Portland. Jesus.
That's not where you
What?
live.
Here in Boulder.
Shit, man, come over.
Both are places. Yeah, right?
I know. Fuck you, Chris. Have you been in
I didn't-
Portland this whole time?
The long con. Yes, Avery Brewing Company in Boulder, Colorado. It's kind of a boring can because that's just kind of their style. They just do very plain white cans with like big colored font on them. I was going to drink something with a much better can, which is a sour that I have from Odell Brewing Company.
Is that also here in Portland?
No, it's somewhere in Colorado. I want to say it's Fort Collins, but I might be wrong about that. But that beer is called the Sippin' Pretty. It is a acai, guava, and Himalayan salt flavored sour, but it's very good, as yuppie as that sounds. It exists, but you don't get to see the can.
I would drink the hell out of that.
Yeah, that's what sours are for, to be weird and interesting.
Yeah.
And you're totally right, Fort Collins, Colorado.
Hey, look at me, one in a row.
You nailed it. That's not true. You are almost always right about
That's true. When it comes to
like
where
that.
and when things are, either Star Wars or beer.
I know. I love how Chris goes, things like where and when, and I go, like stupid shit. I'm drinking
Tomato.
I'm drinking a What Rough Beast from our good friends at Breakside Brewing, which is like a mile from my house.
Good choice.
So I go there when I'm depressed so that I can go for a walk.
Nice.
And also get beer.
I should start doing
Okay, cool. I talked a lot during this intro, so if you guys
I was going to say, Kristen, are you back on the pod?
No, I'm absolutely not back on this pod. I just talked a lot during the intro because I miss you guys, and we had a week off in between. So as y'all know, if you listen to the pod, we had another. Chris, plug our last episode, and then I'll be quiet.
Yes, absolutely. So if you missed episode 129, we finally wrapped up Resistance Reborn with very, very special guest host as well, Rana Lapine, at Rana Lapine on Twitter. She was phenomenal. We loved having her. Definitely recommend giving that episode a listen if you missed it, or if you skipped it because you haven't read Resistance Reborn, then go read Resistance Reborn because it's great.
Yes.
Yeah, with that, we also do now have an actual episode 127, which makes me very sad.
Yeah, except it wasn't the way we said it was going to be on our last Crash of Fate episode, which is now episode 128. It's all fucked up now, Kristen.
How dare somebody be responsible and make sure our numbers go in order?
So let's dive in to talk about A Crash of Fate. And over the last 2 episodes, we spent a lot of time talking about how this book works in universe and the plot and different aspects of that. But obviously, it's a wider picture than that, because this is one of 2 books along with Black Spire by Delilah Dawson that work as an advertisement of sorts for Galaxy's Edge. So I want to start with me and Miranda and then go to you, Adriana, because I know you've been to Galaxy's Edge. And so I want to get your opinion last and best. But Miranda, did this feel like a real location to you? Did it make you want to visit, or
It felt like a real location, but it felt like more of a lived-in location than I would pay money to go here to spend more money. And I think part of it I will attribute to this was a well-written book. I feel like in the other novel about this planet that we have read recently, everything was super heavy-handed. It was look, it's Rondo's Roasters, get this stuff. And here it was oh yeah, I like the popcorn, right? I don't think it necessarily advertised Galaxy's Edge as a destination for us people in the real world with real dollars, theoretically, to go to. It felt very much like a place, and I don't think it was a good ad for Galaxy's Edge. I do think it was obviously a better kind of thing for the book itself and for the story, because it was, like I said, much more lived in. It felt really natural, as opposed to would you like me to describe everything? And part of it, too, might be the fact that I've already read Black Spire. So I'm, like, familiar with all of these locations that we see, or most of the locations that we see here in A Crash of Fate. So, you know, if I hadn't read that first, would I feel the same? Who's to say? But, like, having that knowledge coming into this, it, you know, it's kind of like reading our favorite characters from the screen in a book. Like, oh, yeah, Leia's here, okay. And, like, I know Poe, and it's like, popcorn, waterfall place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a junkyard.
No, totally. It's interesting because I read this one before I read Black Spire, I think. Yes, I read this one before I read Black Spire. And I definitely got kind of a more positive view of Galaxy's Edge as like a location that I would want to visit. I don't know that this book alone would be enough to get me to be like, that's it, we're flying to Disneyland. But I did like come away from this feeling like it was a real location, you know, and some of it like naming the Fuzzy Tauntaun as like what they're drinking, like all the different names of drinks, like that was necessary, but it is what it is. But I did feel like it was more of a real location that like would exist both in Star Wars but also in the real world than I think you did from reading Black Spire first.
Exactly. And again, a testament to
different reading experiences, shall we say?
The difference in our reading experiences between the two Black Spire books. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it is a very real location, which is great. And again, I think it's great for this, but like for Disney, for making money, this alone would not get me there as well.
Adriana, what about you? Did this make you want to go back to Galaxy's Edge? I know you said on our first episode that you weren't the biggest fan of the land, not the book.
Yeah. I mean, I think after my first visit, I really started to. It really hit me how disappointed I was in Galaxy's Edge, just because for me it's missing a lot of the stuff, and I know going back to that first episode I kind of talked about it, but it really this book kind of made it a little bit worse because she includes such a wide range of characters and aliens and different species, and you know, she introduces species that we haven't heard of before, and so when you go back and you're like, okay, Disney marketed specifically this experience as immersive, right? So for me is, where are those aliens? Where are those, you know, creatures? Where are those beings? And you know, it doesn't hit right, you know, when the person who is selling you your Ronto roaster is named Josh and he's from Downey. Like, it's not. It just doesn't like hit the way I feel like they wanted to. At least for me. And you know, obviously, like there are people who have had great Galaxy's Edge experiences, and you know, I think that stems because that's their one trip, you know. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna go. You want to go. I don't think if you're reading this to see if you want to go, I don't think it would necessarily, especially if you're not a Star Wars fan, I don't think it would necessarily work for you either. So I'm glad that it does exist because I did like the story, but as far as like being an ad for Galaxy's Edge, I don't think it's the right thing. And I read this after I've been to Galaxy's Edge a couple times, so I'm interested in I feel like we're not a good population. Like maybe someone who's like I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out like who would read this and be like, I need to go to Galaxy's Edge. That's, I think, is my point. Is who would read this and make that like leap and be like, this is it. This is the one thing that makes me want to go to Galaxy's Edge. And I feel like that's not someone that might.
I wonder if it's an age thing too, because obviously we are people in or after our mid to late 20s, to keep it vague. And this is a YA book, and which like we love YA. It's not denigrating it at all, but it is a book about a certain age group, in that they're 17 and 18 or 18 and 19, I can't remember. And it is written for people in that kind of teenage age group, ideally. And I wonder if that would help. I almost wonder if teenage is too, like, I just remember me, I was like a surly little shit when I was a teenager, like kid Chris, because bragging, I read above my grade level. Like child Chris would have eaten this shit up and then probably loved Galaxy's Edge. I don't know if teen Chris would have, but I do wonder if the age factor is something there.
I don't think so. I mean, I've been reading YA since before I was a teen too. I feel like teen me would have wanted to go to Galaxy's Edge regardless. Like, because I'm a Star Wars fan and I'm a Disney fan. So, this book would have no bearing whatsoever. Like, it might be like I might reread it and be like super pumped to go to Galaxy's Edge, as opposed to only like half pumped up to go to Galaxy's Edge. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like if you're a Star Wars fan, you want to go to Galaxy's Edge because you want to go to Galaxy's Edge, and a teen romance, even if it is your cup of tea, is not going to be the make or break for you.
Yeah, that's super fair.
Yeah, and I think part of it for me isn't necessarily the age factor, but like, we came into this book like, we're gonna read this book and do our Book Wars pod thing, which is 65% shit posting, but 35% actual like Star Wars analysis, and like, how does this fit into the universe? And the universe now includes the location in said book. Like, I think like both of you, if this had come out like after Attack of the Clones, little like 9-10-year-old me would have been like, hell yes, let's fucking go. And like, just because like, holy shit, Star Wars. And I mean, I'll still go. It's Star Wars. We all want that, immersive experience. Like, we want to be in Star Wars, and that's obviously the closest that we have. So
this podcast is 30% Star Wars and 5% air horn. So
true, accurate.
And I think I want to talk about maybe the location really, because I think, like Star Wars, they talk about like the seedy underbelly and like these seedy little towns, and and for me, like when they're talking about like the alleyway that you're not supposed to go to, I forget what it's called,
Smuggler's Alley,
but they mention it. Yeah, thank you. And stuff like that. I don't necessarily want to go to those kinds of places in real life. And so I think just I feel like if they were gonna do a better, I think, sorry, kind of going a little bit away from the book, but it would have been better to do like a different, I feel like a different place, because when you go to Galaxy's Edge, at least in I don't know about the one in Florida, I'm assuming it is also hot as balls there. But when you go to the Galaxy's Edge here in California, the way that it's built and the colors and like the shrubbery, it feels a little bit hotter to be there, and it's a little bit more uncomfortable to be there. So I think too that plays into it. Had they done maybe like a different planet with different colors and different not rocks, I think it would have been nice. I mean, you're laughing, but it's literally like the decor here is rocks, and it's not the same. Like if you go to I have been to Pandora. I remember the name. And it's rocks there too, but it's like colorful and like it's beautiful, and going through that, experiencing that world made me love that movie, because I didn't give a crap about that movie before, and then I went to that place and I was like, oh, and I just don't get that same. I feel like the people that I've gone with who are not Star Wars fans, who have gone to Galaxy's Edge, they're like, oh yeah, it's okay, it's cool, it's whatever. It doesn't make them care about Star Wars anymore like Pandora did. And I think that's a huge downfall for me, because if you really love something, you're gonna start caring about it. And it makes you want to read the other books. It's gonna make you want to read this book. It's gonna make you want to read or just get into Star Wars, and I feel like they didn't.
Sorry, what is Pandora?
It's the Avatar land, not Airbender. James Cameron Avatar.
Yeah.
Is that at Disneyland, or did you go to the one in Florida?
Which?
Okay, yeah.
That's at the Disney World. Yeah. So yeah, I swear I've seen that. I saw that movie once in theaters, and then we went to go to Avatar Land or Pandora, and like it changed my life. Like it made me like, I've never once been a person to like listen to the music from the theme parks, really. And like I went and I downloaded that stuff right away. Like I watched the movie now, and I care about it. So I feel like, when I compare something like that to this Galaxy's Edge situation, it's very disappointing for me personally as a pass holder. And that's not to say that other people don't have a great time, like, but that's just from me.
That makes total sense. And I mean, when I think of Galaxy's Edge, I don't really... The excitement of being in Batuu isn't what gets me. It's the excitement of, like, I want to make a lightsaber, or, like, I know the Falcon is there, or I've heard the Rise of the Resistance ride is really good. But, like, the act of being in Batuu, and also, like, I grew up in Los Angeles and have been to Disneyland when I was a kid, and so, like, I also have just the general knowledge of what it's like to be there, and so, like, it's... The act of being there isn't what's exciting to me. And I feel like that is, I think, a great point that I don't know that this book necessarily changed for me. And again, maybe that's because I've been there and I know that it won't be like that.
And yeah, and then, like, just to put things into perspective, like, you want to build a lightsaber, right? But if you're like me and you're a pass holder,
exactly,
how many times are you going to build a lightsaber? Are you going to build a lightsaber every single time you go? No. Seeing the Falcon, it does give me a thrill every time I go, and I still, like, my heart, like, when I see it, like, but riding the ride, it just, like, depending on who you're with, that ride experience is, like, it's one of those, for me, it's one of those rides where it's like, if it's over 40 minutes long, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna skip it. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna do single rider. So one thing I do like about Galaxy's Edge is the Rise of the Resistance ride, which, I mean, they don't really talk about it here, so it doesn't even make a difference, I think. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should just not be a pass holder, and it would make going to Disneyland more exciting. But no, that's a lie because I love going to Disneyland. I don't know.
No, that's super, super fair.
Yeah.
Thanks, Burb.
You're welcome for that input.
So let's talk about other things that the book is connected to outside of Star Wars Land, outside of Galaxy's Edge. We talked a little bit about this last week, but this is a book that is a lot less connected to the movies than pretty much any other book we've read. I'm trying to think if there's any book that we've read besides this that is so disconnected from the movies.
Or at least I think, like, the overarching main plot of, like, the Skywalker saga. Like, I think we're going to talk about Lost Stars anyway. But, you know, that wasn't super plugged into the movies, but it did plug into the Battle of Jakku, which is obviously
disagree with you that Lost Stars wasn't plugged into the movies.
I also don't really remember it.
I agree with Chris.
Lost Stars,
like, maybe I don't remember
traces
it.
the path of the three movies as Sienna and Thane are, like, on different sides. Like, they're on the Death Star, and then they're at the Battle
the
of
Death
Hoth,
Star,
and then, like, they fight
okay.
before Endor.
I take it back.
Yeah.
I read that book in a day 2.5 years ago. Over 2.5 years ago.
And then Claudia Gray upset you and you blacked out. We get it. It's fair.
At me. Well, no, then I had to be on a pod about it that night.
Were you on the pod at that point when we read that?
Maybe you just had too many.
No.
That was
you were
that
stirring
was
your
that episode.
Jedi soup.
Speaking of old jokes. Yeah, so like what did you think about the, like, kind of lack of connection? Because obviously we know it's Star Wars because it says Star Wars on the cover. And there are certain things where it talks about the First Order and the Resistance where we pick up those context clues. But there's no, there's no characters we've met outside of if you've been to Galaxy's Edge. There's no, there's really barely any use of the Force. There's that weird kid whose name I want to say was Nate. Nate, who is, like, Force sensitive, but that's pretty much it. Like, what did y'all think about that?
I really liked it. I know I've talked about it before, but I think when like these stories that we get and just seeing how life is outside of the war in the stars I enjoy it because we know the galaxy is really huge. We know it's super big, and there are multitudes going on outside, the main trios and stuff like that. So and those are always the most interesting to me because, like, obviously there's, like, bad stuff going on right now, but everyday life is different, and so it's very interesting. And it kind of makes me feel a little bit more connected just because, like, I would probably be one of these people, as opposed to actually battling in the wars. I'd like to say I'm a Jedi, but let's be real honest. That's probably no. That I probably wouldn't be a Jedi. So yeah, I really like it, and I just really like the day-to-day stuff. I think just because we don't get that from the movies, and the TV shows. It's always like there's a war.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I don't remember if I brought this up. We keep saying last week, but it was 2 weeks ago, so I super don't remember. Apologies if I've told this story before, but I'm not sorry. I had a conversation at work, like maybe late 2016, maybe early 2017. The new kind of canon was still, in a lot of ways, getting up on its feet. I think at that point we did have The Force Awakens shortly before or after Rogue One came out. But I had this whole conversation with, like, the galaxy is so big. Like you said, there's so many stories. Like, you can literally do anything within the bounds of like Star Wars and like tell whatever story you want to tell. Which I think this one doesn't exactly do it because it does have a few tie-ins, obviously to Galaxy's Edge, the place, a little bit to Black Spire. You know, there's kind of some, again, I think coming in, having read that, and like having the background on the caves and why the First Order's there and all of that, you know, there is some connection, but largely this is a teenage romance that just so happens to be in Star Wars, and like I love that shit. I am always here for world building. It's all I ever want. Like I think if you really were to do it, and like go wild on this kind of concept, you know, how long would that stay really cool? But I think for this, and I also think like this medium is absolutely the best way to do it. In the books, you know, there are stories you can tell here in a book, and it's like, oh look, Galaxy's Edge, and like look at these teens making terrible choices. Like that's never going to be a TV show, right? That's never going to be a miniseries or like a solo type film. So I think it's really interesting and good that we do have this kind of branching out into something slightly different than what we usually see from Star Wars.
I agree. I thought that it really worked. One of the big fears I always have for Star Wars books, and this was more true in the Legends books that I have read. I have only read like 3. But it's more true in the Legends books than the new canon. But to me, one of like the top 3 things that an author can do to prove that they're just a very weak author is to like overly insert Star Wars-ness into something where it's like, and then Luke Skywalker came and slashed people's hands off, and then Lando showed up. Who knows why, but Lando was there, and now they're all having adventures. Like, it's very... I think that like to write a good book, you need to write a good book first, and then like it will be a good Star Wars book if you write a good book in the Star Wars universe. And to me, that's what
exactly
this is. I think it really works because like we don't have those like random cameos of like, and there was a Wookiee walking around with a woman, but I don't know who she was. She felt very mysterious.
They were roommates.
Oh my god. Very different direction. But yeah, and like it feels like you were both saying it's the first time that it really feels like it's a big galaxy, like a galaxy that there are people who are not affected by the wars. Like, you know, we have in previous books people who like say they're not affected, but then they very clearly are because there's like been stormtroopers there for like decades, and like they were like murdered by Darth Vader 20 years ago, and it's like a whole thing. But like this one, it did feel like you are just trying to live your life on this ass backwards planet in the middle of nowhere that like most people haven't even heard of. And you're just like, it's the proverbial like diner voters in middle America, you know, like it's that kind of vibe. And to me, that's something that we haven't had in Star Wars. And I thought that it really worked here with just enough of a tie-in feel, you know, quote unquote, the Jon Favreau feel like Star Wars.
Jedi scum.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to find a way to make a Joe the Plumber joke.
They have plumbing in Star Wars?
If we're going to talk. Unclear. Nobody ever goes to the bathroom. Also,
yeah.
plot
They're
line.
called freshers.
Do refreshers have plumbing, or do they just yeet it into space?
Wait, sorry. I'm not.
That'd be quite the feat from Disneyland.
I continually am not supposed to be on this podcast, but isn't there an author that we've read who like refuses to not call them bathrooms?
Is there?
I think so.
Have we read a book with bathrooms in it? Have we read a book where
Yeah,
they're like,
I think
oh,
so.
the bathroom?
Because I think we discussed it on the podcast. Because I think it's a thing.
It's ringing a bell, but I do not remember
Okay,
which
that's fine.
book and which author.
I will go down the rabbit hole and not find it, but carry on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also just pulling a Ramona Quimby
We're
AJ
doomed.
situation here.
I
So that's another one of my very terrible, very specific references that in one of the Ramona books, she's like, why do they never go to the bathroom in
that's
these
funny.
stories?
I mean, in this one, they
totally
the
peed in the
pool
pool.
is too
Let's
clean
all
themselves,
agree.
so it's
they
not a
peed
shower.
in the
Yeah, they
pool.
did.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah, and I was not indoor plumbing though, because also, and maybe this is a thing about like strangers on Batu, but in Black Spire, the main character,
Yes.
her name is Vi. She does also clean off, but again, it's in the little ponds and pools everywhere. Thank you for coming on this tangent with me.
So,
Exchanging glances.
oh my god. So again, no evidence of plumbing on Batu is what we're learning.
I mean, if it's the same as Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, they do have public refreshers. I think
Interesting.
is what they call them. So
Something
they look like our bathrooms.
breaking the immersion.
Boo.
Something tells me that Oga does not keep her bathroom stocked with hand sanitizer to the extent that Disney does. Just gonna guess that. No offense to Oga, I'm sure her establishment has passed every health code inspection.
No, it's gonna be a fucking dive bar bathroom. Like, there's stickers all over the wall. It's great. For some reason, the ceiling is
Bathroom
red.
door may or
like,
may not lock on any given day.
It's like a little hook. It's like you gotta put the nail into a hole and hope it stays. There's no mirror.
Yeah.
The soap doesn't
It's like
work.
small so that like if you're sitting on the toilet, you kind of have to like put your leg out to block the door. Yeah, no.
Yep. That's it.
All right, anyway. So on to wrap this part up, obviously this is a different direction than we've seen for Star Wars. This is a very broad question, but it's given me the chance to ask it. Where do you want to see Star Wars explore? And like, not necessarily time periods and stuff, although if you want to go time periods you can. But more like, do you want to see more stuff like this? Is there a specific offshoot, like, to use popular Broy one, Bounty Hunters, that you want to learn more about? Like, where, if you could pick what the next, Crash of Fate style different corner of the galaxy that we're looking at, what would it be?
I kind of am very interested in some moms, like Charbet and Izal's mom, like Izzy's mom, because they sound so cool, and like they have clearly seen some stuff. So I think that would be really interesting, because we don't hear from moms because they're usually dead, like these ones are, but if you go back in time
Before they died.
No, I think besides that, I do like this stuff because it's lighthearted. I know it's Star Wars, but it can't just be all this heavy stuff all the time. There should be some stuff in there that's light. So I think maybe like more like even just like a sequel to this, a sequel to Lost Stars, where we find out if Sienna and Thane are actually happy together. I don't know. That's what I want. I want some
I love it.
lightheartedness in my war.
Wild. Not in our Star Wars.
Bird, how about you?
I do want to see more stuff like
Sorry,
this.
go ahead, Adriana.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I feel like me and Miranda like are very big fans of Hallmark movies. So.
Okay. Noted.
I don't even know how to interpret that.
I mean, you brought it.
I don't either.
It's like,
No, like
that's not how I would describe
we're fans
myself.
of Hallmark movies, so
I don't really.
give me more Star Wars in Hallmark movie book form.
okay,
I guess
okay.
is what my point was.
I would take that. See, I would take that, one, if it were gay, but two, I do like some angst. Like, I like the good pining
More Lifetime
shit.
than Hallmark.
Sure. I am not familiar with the differences.
know
between
that
the
was
two.
perfect.
I have seen. Okay, cool.
Lifetime movies tend to also have more people of color in them.
Yeah, it's all
It's a
relative.
low bar. I don't necessarily want to see like more Star Peace, but I think that I don't want to say bounty hunters, but like kind of the more mercenary type figures. I think that would be cool, or like literally anybody like doing their own adventure. You know, obviously not on a scale similar to the Skywalkers. Like they're not changing the galaxy, but and this was kind of the crux of the conversation that I mentioned earlier. It's like you can do anything. Like here's our kind of romance story. Like we can do like a thriller, you know. I think that would work really well, like some kind of thriller or horror story in Star Wars, because like there's so much shit. Half of it's like that anyway. But world building. Show me more places. Show me more places that aren't fucking desert planets.
Could we get planets with
That's
more than
what I
one
want.
biome? That's what I want. So is that too much?
No.
Too much to ask?
We had
Give me a people's history of Maz's
Oh my god.
castle on Takadana. That's what I want.
isn't Kessel
It does
have more
actually.
than
No,
one?
we know that now because of the new Clone Wars.
I remember because I remember watching that and I was like,
Oh yeah.
wait, that's not what the Kessel on in Solo look like.
Yeah. Oh, actually, if I can revise my thing, for the Maz's castle, like a Canto Bite style,
Like a Tales from Maz's Castle
about that.
situation.
which I think would. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like in over the centuries, you know, like I'm really excited for the High Republic, but I do wish they were going further back than 200
Same.
years. Like there's
Yeah.
so much to explore. And also like kind of iffy on like if this major event that's going to happened 200 years ago, why is nobody talking about it? Although we do know, okay, that's not a great point. Everybody forgot about the Jedi.
No,
They're a legend. Scratch that. But
Yeah.
stories.
For me, this is partially driven by my undying rage at what happened to Rose Tico in Rise of Skywalker, but also by the fact that I've been playing a lot of Squadrons this weekend. I want to know more about the mechanics and engineers. Like, I want, like, just kind of like a daily, like a procedural of what does your day look like? Like, what sorts of cool adjustments are you making? Like, they did a little bit of this in Star Wars Resistance in the first season with all the racers in it, and I thought it really worked. I also love that show more than Lucasfilm does. But not still bitter. Definitely not. Speaking of Rose and Resistance and Star Wars. But yeah, like, I'm just, like, very into that, because, like, one of the things about Squadrons, which we'll talk about at some point, you just, like, you can customize pretty much anything about your starfighter, and there's, like, hundreds of different components you can swap in, so, like, there's, like, I would assume literally, like, tens of thousands of different possible combinations. And, like, I want to know about, like, the mechanics who are building this shit, and not, like, having them all just be Anakin tinkering with shit in between killing like Tusken Raiders. Like, so that I think is my like random off topic from the Skywalker saga desire.
Yeah. I'm into that.
All right, and then the last thing to talk about is just wanted to briefly talk about the point of view in this book. It is obviously told from both points of view, which is always makes it interesting and often infuriating as they pine for each other and won't say anything. But the other one that's written from both points of view that comes to... Excuse me, sorry, I keep burping. That comes to mind is Lost Stars, which we already talked about. But they're done in very different ways, because in this one, there are different points of view, but they're both together. Whereas Lost Stars, they're mostly apart. And so I don't know if y'all had any thoughts on that or how that worked for you.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, for Lost Stars, that worked for me, because, like you said, they're spending a lot of time apart, and in my own spare time, I've, read some other sci-fi type books where, like, that is the case. We're, like, going from one person's point of view to another, and it's fine, and, like, all put together, it tells, like, the whole story. But this one was, like, I think it was fine. It was kind of weird with how, first of all, I didn't realize until, like, several chapters in that each chapter had both points of view. I was trying to figure out, like, why Jules' chapters didn't have a chapter number above, like, Jules. So that was fun. But, like, it's weird to kind of... And I think it's fine, like, here and there, but to see scenes overlapping with their point of view, but, like, for every scene they're in together, like, it was just a little jarring. Otherwise, aside from, like, the pining and everything, like, it was fine. I have no strong feelings about it.
I didn't mind it. I kind of liked it because, it gave us those, like... we got to have those moments with, like, Jules and his friends where they're giving him, like, a hard time, and we wouldn't get to see that if it was all in her point of view, or vice versa. And then I did like I had mentioned last episode how for me it was very nice to have her her feelings about how she feels about him and stuff like that. And so for me it wasn't a problem, and I liked it. I don't know if I've read many books like that in general besides Lost Stars. I don't know. It's interesting because, like, most YA that I've read, it's usually from one point of view. So
would you say that it's from a certain point of view? Don't shake your head like that. You should see the look of disappointment on Chris's face right now.
I think for me it worked. I think for me it worked because I usually am like, oh, it would be so cool to know what the other person's thinking. So that's what we got.
Yeah. I honestly don't really have an opinion on this. I just wanted to hear y'all's thoughts.
That's my thoughts.
Even though it was my point. All right. And then before we wrap up, we do have some Easter eggs, as Adriana noted that we had no Easter eggs in the outline. And I feel like that's like dropped off on our wrap-ups lately. So shame on us.
It has.
Yeah. It's a good thing Kate
Mom.
won't listen to this. She heard me say that. So, I don't know who put these in, but Miranda or Adriana. Do you want to take us through?
I did. Oh, okay, yeah. So one thing I thought was really cool about this book, is that, I going to Galaxy's Edge and then, seeing all this stuff, and you don't really know any of the history behind it. So I think it was really interesting that they gave us that this book gave us a little bit, like, little tidbits, like so when you go to Doc Ondar's, it's like this, there's like these statues, and I'm not sure who says it. I think Jules is telling Izzy, or Jules is thinking it, I don't know. But he mentions that one of the statues outside of Doc Ondar's is a grave marker, and they don't talk about who the grave marker is for. But I just thought that was really cool, because I've been there, and like, you know, when I see it and stuff like that, now I know, and now I can be like, to all my friends who go with me, did you guys know that that statue is a grave marker, and impress them. If they care. But so I thought that was really cool.
It's a Galaxy's Edge Easter egg for sure.
I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
And then obviously we talk about it's pretty plot heavy, but the plot point with Katsuka's farm, as you guys know, there is a popcorn stand, and it's Katsaka's popcorn stand. So that I thought was really cool. And I mean, there's a lot of Easter eggs, because it's supposed to be like connected to Galaxy's Edge. So then there was that one. But I think we talked about this one too. How Cookie, even though you don't see him in Galaxy's Edge, in the book he's there, and he used to work at Maz's castle before it was destroyed. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So that's what I included. I don't know.
Yep.
Those are
for sure
interesting points to me.
All right. Well, we can leave it there for A Crash of Fate. Thank you all for listening, and special thanks so much to Adriana. We have loved having you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was fun.
We will have to get you back for basically any Star Wars book that comes out that you're like, I want to read that. Let us know. And you can find her. You can find her once again at Celestial Intent and on the Starships podcast on the Clashing Sabers Network. In the meantime, stay inside. Please wear a mask. By the time this comes out, Trump might be dead. Who knows? I know. 2020 would never be good to us like that. Unless you're going out protesting, in which case just wear a mask and be safe. Our next book is going to be Shadowfall, which is the second book of the Alphabet Squadron trilogy by Alexander Freed. We will note on Twitter what chapters we're reading and when that will come out. We have a couple decisions to make on the pod internally for that, but you can look forward to that and get ready for the book. In the meantime, hit us up at BookWarsPod on Twitter and Instagram. Email us at bookwarspod@gmail.com, and rate, review, and subscribe to both us and the Tashi Station Radio Megafeed. It's the best way for people to discover the show. Once again, instead of giving us any money through Patreon or Ko-fi, please donate to whatever racial justice organization or organization that does good in your local community that you would like to. Some fantastic ones that are particularly in the news these days are the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, the Louisville Community Bail Fund. Those are two nonprofits that you can give to, or if you want to donate politically, there are 3 phenomenal black candidates for Senate in southern states who are not getting enough attention from the national news. It's Mike Espy in Mississippi, Reverend Raphael Warnock in Georgia, and Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. All 3 have a real chance to win. So if you are a political donator, those should be top of your list. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joby Terror Design. And our audio and production is done, as always, by our very own Kristen Cerisi.
I'm going to regret this.
I'm Chris for Kristen, Miranda, Adriana, and Kate in absentia. Thank you so much for listening to the Book Wars Pod, and we'll talk to you next episode.